Let's see how we can do data validation with dependent drop-down in G Sheet. First we need to go to G Sheet by clicking on Sheets from Google Apps. We will reuse some data from the G Sheet of previous video data validation, tick box, so let's click on it. Once it is opened, we will select Make a Copy from File, rename the copy document to Data Validation, dependent drop-down and hit Make a Copy. A copy of Data Validation, tick box called Data Validation, dependent drop-down is created and opens. We will close Data Validation, tick box, File. We have the tick/untick, date, assignee, and task columns. We want to insert one more column named Department, which gives the department in which the assignee works. We will have 3 entries for Department 1. Four entries for Department 2. 1 entry for Department 3. And 2 entries for Department 4. Let's change this column data. For Department 1 we will keep the same data. For Department 2 we will have C, D, C, C. For Department 3 we will have E. And for Department 4 we will have F and G assignees. Let's take the unique departments in our data. For this, we will use an inbuilt function unique, which gives the unique rows in the provided source range. It takes range and 2 other optional columns. We will be using only the range argument, which in our case is E3 to E12. We get the unique departments Department 1, Department 2, Department 3 and Department 4. We want to transpose this data, so first we will copy and paste the values only. Then we will copy and paste transposed. We will delete the copy-pasted values as we don't need them now. Let's highlight the transposed values. We want the assignees of each department under their respective department names. For this, we will use another built-in function called filter, which filters a range based off provided conditions. It takes range, condition 1, condition 2, and so on as arguments. For our case we want the assignee in each department, so range will be D3 to D12. For condition we want department to match department name given in the heading. For our case, condition is E3 to E12 equals J1. We see that the filter formula gives all assignees whose department is Department 1. But we want unique assignees, so we will just use unique function before the filter function. And we get assignee A and B, which are the assignees from Department 1. If we drag the formula for the 3 departments, the formula has locked assignee and department range, but the department heading range changes from J1 for Department 1 to K1 for Department 2 to L1 for Department 3 to M1 for Department 4. We can check that the assignees from each department are correct. We can create a drop-down for departments in H12 cell. We go to data, in that we select data validation. We already have tick box data validation. We will click on add rule for new data validation. We see apply to range is correctly taken as H12. We will change the criteria from drop-down to drop-down, from a range. we will select the range H2 to H5 for unique department list. We can change the colors for each department. Once finished, we will hit done. We can see that the drop-down has all 4 departments, Department 1, Department 2, Department 3 and Department 4. Let's select Department 1 for now. Let's readjust the width of the column. Let's head to cell I1, let's write a formula here so that we get the list of assignees of the department selected from the drop-down in H12 cell. We have to use built-in functions index and match to do just this. Index function gives content of cell specified by row and column offset. It takes reference and optional row and column as arguments. Reference for our case will be from J2 to M3. Oops. For rows, we want all rows so we can skip it. For columns, we want the column which matches the department name in cell H12 to department name in J1 to M1. So, we will use match function which gives the position of item in range that matches value. It takes search key, range and optional search type as arguments. Search key will be H12, range will be J1 to M1, and since we want an exact match, the search type will be 0. If we check assignees in Department 1 are A and B, in Department 2 are C and D, in Department 3 is E, and in Department 4 are F and G, same as what we get using the formula. Let's select Department 1 for now. Since we want drop-down for assignees dependent on departments, we will once again go to Data, select Data Validation from there and add rule. Apply to range is correctly taken as I12. We will change the criteria from drop-down to drop-down, from a range. We will select the range I1 to I2 for assignee list. We can change the colors for assignee. Once finished, we will hit done. We see that the dependent drop-down for assignee gives only A and B if Department 1 is selected in first drop-down. If Department 2 is selected, then dependent drop-down for assignee gives only C and D. If Department 3 is selected, then dependent drop-down for assignee gives only E. Similarly, if Department 4 is selected, then dependent drop-down for assignee gives only F and G. Suppose we want to get the total number of tasks assigned to an assignee of a particular department and the total number of tasks completed by an assignee of a particular department. We can use the built-in function COUNTIFS, which helps us count values depending on multiple criteria. It takes criteria range 1, criteria 1, criteria range 2, criteria 2 and so on as arguments. First criteria range is E3 to E12 for department and criteria is H12, second criteria range is D3 to D12 for assignee and criteria is I12. We see that for assignee G in department 4 the total number of tasks assigned is 1. Similarly, if we check for assignee in department 1 the total number of tasks assigned is 2 and for assignee C in department 2 the total number of tasks assigned is 3. We can use the same formula for total number of tasks completed by an assignee of a particular department with an additional condition for completed tasks. The criteria range is B3 to B12 and criteria completed. If we tick the tick box, its value becomes completed, otherwise it is not finished. Oh, we get the error because the criteria range and criteria are separated by comma not equal to sign. Since no tasks are completed by C of department 2, the completed tasks is 0. If we tick one task of C, we get 1 completed tasks. If we tick 2, we get 2 completed tasks. If we tick 3, we get 3 completed tasks. We can check the total tasks and completed tasks for all assignees. With this we have successfully learned dependent drop-down data validation in G-Sheet. Thank you for your time. Please like, share and subscribe if this video was useful.